The text came at 12:43 a.m. Laura Smith was still awake, 3 monitors glowing in the darkness of her downtown Seattle loft, debugging a critical patch that needed to ship by morning. She'd been a senior software architect at Cascade Tech for 6 years, and pulling all-nighters had become less about ambition and more about avoidance. Easier to lose herself in clean code than messy family dynamics. Her phone buzzed against the desk. Mom. Sweetheart, we need to talk about Christmas. Megan has everything planned perfectly. She thinks it's best if you sit this one out. Her managing director and his wife are coming. Please understand. Laura stared at the message, the words blurring slightly. She reread it. Then again, waiting for the meaning to change, for the letters to rearrange themselves into something that made sense. Sit this one out. Not, can you come a different day, or would you mind if we kept it small this year? Sit this one out. Like she was a bench warmer in a game where she'd never even made the team. She stood, her chair rolling backward into the exposed brick wall. The loft was exactly what you'd expect from a successful tech professional with no social life. Minimalist furniture, hardwood floors, and one concession to indulgence. A custom gaming setup in the corner that had cost more than most people's cars. Her one vice in 15 years of militant saving. Another text. Dad this time. Your sister's worked so hard on this dinner. You know how sensitive she is. Let's not rock the boat. Sensitive. The word they'd been using for Megan since she was 5 years old and threw a tantrum because Laura got a bigger slice of birthday cake at her own birthday party. Laura walked to her home office, a converted closet really, and opened the bottom desk drawer. Her hands were steady. That surprised her. She'd imagined this moment differently, thought she'd be shaking, crying, furious. Instead, she just felt tired. Inside the drawer was a manila folder, the tab labeled in her precise handwriting. Smith Family Legal Documents. She pulled it out, set it on the desk, opened it. The contract stared back at her. Jennifer Harvey's law firm logo embossed at the top. Purchase and lease agreement. Property owner, Laura Elizabeth Smith. Current occupants, Richard and Karen Smith. She'd been staring at these papers for 6 months, wondering if she'd ever actually need to use them. Part of her had hoped, desperately hoped, that things would change, that her parents would wake up, that Megan would grow up, sit this one out. Laura closed the folder, put it back in the drawer, sat down at her computer, typed, I paid off your house, deleted it, typed, I'm done, deleted it, typed, okay, sent it. Then she opened her email, found Jennifer Harvey's contact, and began composing a message. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with the same methodical precision she used for coding. No emotion, just execution. Jennifer, activate the agreement. Proceed with notification as discussed. Timeline, Christmas Eve, 6 p.m. Laura. She hovered over the send button. This was it. The nuclear option, the point of no return. Her phone buzzed again. Another text, this time from Megan herself. Hey sis, hope you understand about Christmas. My boss and his wife are coming, and I really need to make a good impression. You can be intense sometimes, but we can totally do lunch next week. Intense. Because at their last family dinner, Laura had suggested, gently she thought, that maybe Megan should start paying their parents back instead of spending her entire salary on designer handbags. Because she'd just mentioned, that Megan's third job change in 2 years maybe wasn't the best timing to buy another luxury SUV. Intense. Laura hit send on the email. Then she opened another browser tab and booked a first-class ticket to the Maldives. One way. She'd figure out the return later. Maybe she wouldn't return at all. She looked at the framed photo on her desk, the only personal item in her entire apartment that wasn't electronic. Smith Family, Christmas 2018, before everything fell completely apart, before she knew the full extent of what Megan had done, back when she still believed that being the good daughter, the reliable one, the one who sacrificed, would eventually mean something. In the photo, Megan was laughing, her arm around their mother, both of them in matching red sweaters. Dad had his hand on Megan's shoulder, and Laura stood slightly apart, smiling but separate. Always separate. She turned the photo face down. June 14th, 2024. 6:47 a.m. The phone call that changed everything came while Laura was on her morning run along Lake Union. She normally didn't answer while running. Running was her meditation, the only time her brain truly quieted, but Dad's name flashing across her Apple Watch made her stop. He never called this early. Dad? The sound on the other end wasn't words. It was something between a sob and a gasp, the noise a person makes when they're trying to breathe and cry at the same time. Dad, what's wrong? Are you okay? Is Mom? We're losing the house. His voice cracked on the word house. Laura, we're losing the house. She stood frozen on the Burke-Gilman Trail while joggers flowed around her like water around a stone. What do you mean? The mortgage is paid off. You refinanced 10 years ago. Second mortgage? Your mother. We took out a second mortgage. When? 2 years ago. Megan needed help with her business venture. The skincare line, remember? She was so sure it would take off. We were just going to help with startup costs. How much? Silence. Dad, how much? $380,000. Laura's legs gave out. She sat down hard on a bench, vaguely aware that she was still wearing her earbuds, that some Spotify playlist was still going, that the world was continuing like nothing had changed. And there's credit card debt. His voice was barely a whisper now. Megan opened some cards in our names. Said it would help her credit score if we co-signed, but then... I don't know what happened, Laura. The statements were going to a P.O. box she set up. We didn't see them until last week when a collector called. How much? $140,000. Laura did the math automatically. Her brain, her blessed analytical brain, already calculating, processing, planning. $520,000 total. The bank sent the foreclosure notice yesterday. We have 30 days. 30 days. Her parents, her infuriating, enabling, impossibly naive parents, had 30 days before they lost the house they'd lived in for 32 years. The house where Laura learned to ride a bike in the driveway, where she'd had her first kiss on the dock, where every Christmas morning of her childhood had started with cinnamon rolls in the kitchen. The house Megan had effectively stolen. Where's Megan now? I don't know. She's not answering her phone. Laura, I know we have no right to ask, but I'll handle it. We can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm deciding. Don't do anything. Don't sign anything else. Don't talk to the bank. I'll handle it. She ended the call and immediately dialed another number. Jennifer Harvey answered on the second ring. Laura, it's not even 7. I need to buy my parents' house. Today, and I need protection. June 14th, 2024, 4:30 p.m. The signing took place at Jennifer Harvey's office in downtown Seattle, a glass tower with a view of Elliott Bay. Laura had arranged everything with the cold efficiency of a hostile takeover. Wire transfer from her brokerage account, $400. Emergency sale of her Capitol Hill rental property, $120,000. Total available, $520,000. She'd been saving for 15 years, living in jeans and thrifted coats while her salary climbed into the mid-6 figures. The rental property had been her first major investment, purchased after a decade of careful planning. Her exit strategy, her future passive income, all of it, gone. But her parents would keep their house. Jennifer had the papers ready, not just a simple transfer. Laura had been adamant about that. If you're doing this, Jennifer had said during their emergency afternoon meeting, you protect yourself. I won't let you hand over $500,000 without insurance. The contract was ironclad. Terms: Laura Smith purchases property at 4892 Lakeshore Drive for current market value, $520,000. Parents may remain as occupants for 12 months. Within 12 months, parents must either purchase property from Laura at original sale price, $520,000, or begin paying fair market rent, $4,500 month. Failure to comply triggers eviction proceedings. All parties acknowledge and agree to terms. Richard and Karen arrived looking shell-shocked. Karen's eyes were red and swollen. Richard moved like a man in a dream, signing where Jennifer pointed, initialing, dating. "This feels wrong," Richard said, pen hovering over the final signature line. "You're our daughter. We should be helping you, not—" "Dad, sign the paper or lose the house. Those are the options." He signed. Laura wired the money before they could change their minds, paid off the second mortgage, paid off the credit cards, covered the legal fees. Her brokerage account, once a comfortable cushion of security, now showed a balance that made her stomach turn. As her parents left, Karen crying, Richard unable to meet her eyes, Megan's Range Rover pulled into the parking garage. Laura watched from Jennifer's office window as her sister stepped out, designer sunglasses perched on her head, carrying what looked like a new Hermes bag. $12,000 minimum for that bag. Laura knew because she'd researched it once, trying to understand why anyone would spend that much on something to carry stuff. Megan spotted their parents, ran over, hugged them both. Laura couldn't hear the conversation, but she could see the gratitude on Megan's face, the relief. She was probably thanking Laura, probably promising to pay her back. She wouldn't. Laura knew that with the same certainty, she knew the sun would rise tomorrow. Jennifer appeared beside her at the window. "Second thoughts?" "No, but I'm going to need you to be ready. In 6 months, maybe less. I don't think they'll buy it back. I don't think they'll be able to pay rent. And then? Then I find out if I'm strong enough to follow through." Jennifer put a hand on her shoulder. "For what it's worth, I think you're the sanest person in your family." Laura watched Megan get back in her Range Rover, watched her parents drive away in their 15-year-old Honda. That's not saying much. December 21st, 2024, 1:30 a.m. Laura couldn't sleep. She sat at her kitchen counter with a glass of wine she wasn't drinking, her laptop open to photo albums she'd digitized years ago. Searching for the moment it all went wrong, trying to pinpoint when Megan transformed from annoying little sister to whatever she was now. The photos told a story Laura had been too close to see while living it. Christmas 29. Laura, 19, home from University of Washington for winter break. She'd been working 3 jobs, campus IT support, weekend coding gigs, and Friday night shifts at a coffee shop, because her college fund had mysteriously evaporated that fall. She remembered the conversation. Mom, tearful, "Sweetheart, we had to borrow from your account. Just temporarily. Megan's having a crisis." The crisis. Megan needed $18,000 for spring semester sorority dues and a networking trip to Mexico. She'd spent her own college fund on a car she'd totaled within 6 months. Laura had nodded, said it was fine, took out student loans. In the photo, Megan wore a new Michael Kors coat. $800, Laura remembered because Megan wouldn't shut up about it. She was laughing, arms around both parents. Laura stood to the side, wearing a North Face jacket from the clearance rack at REI, smiling but not touching anyone. Always on the periphery. Always separate. She'd graduated with $80,000 in student debt. Megan had dropped out sophomore year to find herself, which apparently required a year in Europe that their parents somehow funded. Thanksgiving 2014, the year Laura finally made senior developer. Salary bump to $120,000. She'd felt rich, felt like she'd made it. Megan had shown up at Thanksgiving dinner with a business opportunity, a skincare MLM that was totally not a pyramid scheme. She just needed $8,000 for inventory and training materials. Laura, still believing in family, still believing Megan would change. "Okay, but we need a payment plan. I'll write up a simple contract." Megan's face had darkened. "A contract? Are you serious? I'm your sister, not a bank." "It's just to keep us both accountable. This is why nobody likes you, Laura. Everything has to be transactional with you. Mom, Dad, can you believe this?" Karen had stepped in, her perpetual mediator voice. "Laura, honey, she's family. We don't need contracts between family members. That's just cold." Laura had loaned the money. No contract. 6 weeks later, Megan posted Instagram photos from Paris Fashion Week. "Blessed living. My best life, grateful," Laura had texted. "Hey, about that loan." Megan, "OMG, you're still thinking about that? I thought it was a gift. You make so much money now, I figured you were just helping out." Laura had let it go. Because that's what you did in families. You let things go. The photo from that Thanksgiving showed Megan and Karen, heads together, laughing at something on Megan's phone. Richard was carving the turkey. Laura was setting the table, half turned away from the camera, her face unreadable. Summer 2018, Megan's third car accident. She'd been texting while driving, rear-ended a Mercedes at a red light. The other driver was fine, but Megan's insurance had lapsed because she'd missed 3 payments. Laura got the call at work. Megan crying. I don't know what to do. They're saying I might get sued. I don't have the money, and I need a new car for my job. What happened to the Honda Mom and Dad bought you last year? That was the Honda. Megan, that's your 3rd car in 5 years. I know. I'm so unlucky with cars. That's why I need something reliable this time. I was thinking a BMW 3 Series. They have amazing safety ratings. A BMW? Laura, I need reliable transportation, and my job requires me to look professional. Can you co-sign? Please? I can't ask Mom and Dad again. They're stressed about money. Because they kept bailing you out, Laura hadn't said. Because they refinanced their house twice to cover your messes, Laura hadn't said. What she had said, no. I'm sorry, Megan. I can't co-sign. You need to figure this out yourself. The screaming match that followed was legendary in Smith family history. Megan had called her selfish, jealous, controlling, had accused her of holding money over everyone's heads, had said, with venom Laura still remembered, "You've always been jealous that Mom and Dad actually love me. You're just the ATM they're stuck with." Karen's response when Laura called for support, "Honey, I know you're trying to teach her responsibility, but she really does need a car. Can't you just help her this once?" This once, as if it hadn't been dozens of times already. Richard, "You make good money, Laura. What's a cosign? You wouldn't actually have to pay anything." Laura had held firm. Megan had gotten her BMW anyway. Richard had co-signed, taking out a personal loan to cover the down payment when Megan's credit application was rejected outright. There were no photos from that summer. Laura had skipped the 4th of July barbecue, skipped Labor Day weekend. When she finally came to Thanksgiving, tense and formal, Megan was driving a BMW with a custom license plate. Blessed one. Child. Spring 2021, Laura's proudest moment. She'd saved $150,000 and bought a small rental property in Capitol Hill, a duplex with good bones and great renters. Her first real investment, her first step toward financial independence, toward a future where she wasn't chained to Cascade Tech's grind. She'd shown her parents the place, nervous and excited. This was her dream. Build a portfolio of rental properties, retire at 50, spend her time coding passion projects instead of corporate software. Richard had been impressed. "I'm proud of you, sweetheart. You worked hard for this." Karen had seemed distracted. "It's lovely, dear. Does it have 2 bedrooms in each unit?" "Yeah. Why?" "Oh, just curious." 2 weeks later, Megan called. "Hey, so I heard about your investment property. That's so amazing. I'm actually between apartments right now. My lease is up and I'm trying to find the right place. Would you maybe consider renting to me? Family discount?" Laura's stomach had sunk. "Megan, those units are occupied, and they're my investment. I need the rental income. I wouldn't be forever, just like 6 months while I find something perfect." "Come on, Laura, family helps family. You could stay with Mom and Dad." "I'm 30 years old. I can't live with our parents. That's pathetic." "But living rent-free in my investment property isn't?" Laura had thought, but hadn't said. She'd said no, firmly, finally, for once. Thanksgiving 2021 had been excruciating. Megan had told everyone that Laura was hoarding wealth, while her own sister struggled, that Laura had multiple properties but couldn't spare one for family. "I have one property," Laura had corrected. "One. That I saved 10 years to buy." "See?" Megan had gestured dramatically. "She's literally counting. This is what I mean. Everything's a transaction with her." Nobody had defended her. They'd all just looked uncomfortable and changed the subject. Laura had eaten her turkey in silence, left before dessert, and didn't come back until Christmas, and even then, only because Eleanor had personally called and asked her to try. Present. December 21st, 2024. Laura closed the laptop, poured the untouched wine down the sink, looked at her phone where the text still glowed. Sit this one out. 15 years of sitting things out, of making herself smaller, of swallowing her anger because speaking up made her negative and controlling and intense. She opened her messages and started typing to Jennifer Harvey. Is 6 p.m. Christmas Eve still possible for delivery? The response came within minutes. Already arranged. Process server is confirmed. Laura, the investigators report on Megan. You said there was criminal activity? Jennifer, elder financial abuse, potential forgery, fraudulent withdrawals. I can send the full file. Laura, send it. Fast. December 21st, 2024, 10:12 a.m. Harvey and Associates occupied the 18th floor of the Columbia Center. All glass and steel and $700 an hour views of Puget Sound. Laura had been here half a dozen times in the past 6 months, but the elevator ride still made her stomach flip. Jennifer Harvey's assistant, a crisp young man named Brandon, showed her into the conference room. Jennifer was already there, 3 file folders spread across the table, reading glasses perched on her nose. Laura! Jennifer looked up, gestured to a chair. You sounded urgent on the phone. I want to activate the eviction clause. Jennifer removed her glasses, studied Laura carefully. She was 52, with silver hair she wore in a sharp bob and eyes that missed nothing. You're sure? It's Christmas. They uninvited me from Christmas, in the house I own. Fair point. Jennifer pulled one of the folders forward. I have the notice ready. Standard King County eviction proceedings. They'll receive formal notification that they have until January 15th to either purchase the property or begin rent payments. I want it delivered Christmas Eve, 6 p.m. Jennifer's eyebrows rose. During their dinner party. During their dinner party. That's... Jennifer paused, chose her words carefully. That's aggressive, Laura. Is it crueler than 15 years of being erased, than being told I'm too intense for wanting basic respect? Jennifer leaned back. I've been a real estate attorney for 28 years. I've seen this exact scenario dozens of times. Different names, same dynamics. Let me tell you what happens next. I'm listening. Your parents will be shocked, then angry. Then they'll call you crying, begging you to reconsider. Your sister will position herself as the victim. It'll be your fault for attacking the family. You'll become the villain in their story, maybe temporarily, maybe permanently. Jennifer tapped the folder. Even if you're legally right, and you are, you'll question yourself. You'll lie awake wondering if you're just bitter, if you're punishing them instead of protecting yourself. That doubt? It'll eat at you. Laura's hands were folded in her lap, white-knuckled. What if you're right? What if I'm just angry? Are you? Let me show you something. Jennifer pulled a second folder forward, this one significantly thicker. After you paid off the house, I took the liberty of having an investigator look into your family's financial situation. I wanted to make sure there weren't any other surprises waiting. She opened the folder, spread documents across the table. Bank statements, credit card records, legal documents with highlighted sections. Your sister didn't just overspend. She's been systematically defrauding your parents for at least 3 years. Laura's mouth went dry. What do you mean defrauding? She has power of attorney. Your father gave it to her in 2022 when he had that heart surgery. Remember? Laura did remember. She'd been out of town for a work conference when it happened. Emergency triple bypass. Dad had been in ICU for a week. He'd needed someone local to handle his finances during recovery. He never revoked it, Jennifer continued. Megan's been using it to access their accounts. Small withdrawals at first, 1,000 here, 2,000 there. Nothing that would trigger immediate alarm, but over 3 years? She slid a spreadsheet across the table. $340,000. Laura stared at the numbers. Each line represented a withdrawal, a transfer, a theft. The $520,000 you gave them? Megan's already gone through most of it. She's been using the house as collateral for personal loans. Your parents probably don't even know. How is that possible? Statements go to a P.O. box she set up. She intercepts everything. Your parents are still using paper banking. They never check online. They trust her. Laura felt something crack open inside her chest. Not just anger anymore. Horror. They're broke again. Worse than that. Jennifer pulled out a third folder. Megan works for Blackstone Capital Management, right? Investment firm? Yeah. There's an internal investigation underway. She's been doing the same thing to client accounts. Small amounts, spread across multiple portfolios. The kind of thing that only shows up during a detailed audit. How do you know this? I have contacts. The investigation's been quiet, but it won't stay that way. When Blackstone figures out the full extent, there will be criminal charges, federal. Securities fraud carries serious prison time. Laura stood up, walked to the window. Below, Seattle went about its Tuesday morning. People rushing to work, oblivious to the fact that someone's world was imploding 18 floors up. Does Megan know about the investigation? I don't think so, but she will soon. Days, maybe hours. And my parents? They have no idea about any of it. Laura turned back. I could destroy her. Yes. I could go to the FBI right now with this information, fast-track the whole thing. You could. But that means destroying my sister. Prison, criminal record, her life over. Jennifer stood, came to stand beside her at the window. Is that what you want? I don't know what I want. Laura's voice cracked. I want my family back, the family we were supposed to be. But we never were that family, were we? I just kept pretending. Laura, I'm going to tell you something, not as your attorney, but as someone who's seen a lot of families destroy themselves. Jennifer's voice was gentle. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let consequences happen. Your sister isn't going to change because you ask nicely. She's going to change when the alternative is prison. Or she won't change at all. That's also possible. But at least you'll know you tried. Laura looked at the folders on the table. Evidence of years of theft, manipulation, fraud. Her sister's crimes, documented in black and white. Send the eviction notice. Christmas Eve, 6 p.m., like I asked. And the criminal evidence? Not yet. Let them see who she really is first. Let them understand what they've been protecting. Then we'll see. Jennifer nodded, made a note. There's one more thing. Your grandmother called me last week. Laura's head snapped up. Eleanor? Why would she call you? She wanted to make sure I was taking care of her granddaughter. Her exact words. Jennifer reached into her desk drawer, pulled out a sealed envelope. She also asked me to give you this. Said to open it when you start doubting yourself. The envelope was cream-colored, expensive stationery. Eleanor's handwriting on the front. For Laura, when the doubt comes. Laura took it with shaking hands. Did she say anything else? Just that she's very proud of you, and that she's sorry she didn't do this 30 years ago. December 21st, 2024. 11:30 p.m. Laura sat on her couch, Eleanor's letter in her hands, unopened for 12 hours. She'd carried it home from Jennifer's office, set it on the coffee table, and stared at it periodically while trying to work, trying to eat, trying to pretend her entire world wasn't fracturing. Finally, at nearly midnight, she opened it. The paper was thick, the ink a deep blue. Eleanor's handwriting was still elegant despite her 78 years. The careful script of someone who'd learned penmanship before computers existed. My dearest Laura, if you're reading this, you've decided to fight back. Good. I've watched for 15 years as your parents turned my daughter Karen into an enabler and Megan into a tyrant. I've watched you shrink yourself, apologize for existing, make yourself smaller so Megan could feel bigger. I should have intervened years ago. That's my failure, and I'm sorry for it. I thought keeping peace was the same as keeping family. I was wrong. Peace without honesty isn't peace at all. It's just slow-motion destruction. You're not cruel for setting boundaries, you're not selfish for expecting basic respect, and you're not wrong for demanding accountability. But Laura, hear this. What you're about to do will hurt. Not just them, you. You'll second-guess yourself 1,000 times. You'll wonder if you're the villain. You'll lie awake wondering if you destroyed your family. The answer is no. They destroyed it long before you fought back. You're just refusing to keep pretending it's fine. I've put something in motion that you'll discover soon. Trust me. More importantly, Trust yourself. You're the strongest person in this family, and that's precisely why they've asked you to be the weakest. I love you, my darling girl. I'm proud of you, and I'm sorry I didn't protect you better. Your grandmother, Eleanor. Laura read it 3 times, tears blurring the words by the end. Then she picked up her phone and called Eleanor's number. It rang 6 times before going to voicemail. Eleanor's recorded voice. You've reached Eleanor Smith. Leave a message and I'll return your call when I'm able, unless you're a telemarketer, in which case kindly remove me from your list. Grandma, it's Laura. I got your letter. What did you put in motion? Call me back, please. She hung up, anxiety prickling at the base of her spine. Eleanor always answered. Always. At 11:47 p.m., her phone rang. Grandma? I apologize for the late hour. Eleanor's voice was clear, strong, despite her age. I was at the symphony and just saw your message. Are you all right? I got your letter. From Jennifer Harvey. Ah, and? What did you put in motion? A pause. Then Eleanor said, Pour yourself a drink, sweetheart. This conversation requires whiskey. Laura went to her kitchen, found the bottle of scotch she kept for rare occasions, poured 2 fingers. Okay, I'm ready. I've changed my will. What? The house in Ballard, the investment portfolio, the trust fund, everything. It's no longer split 3 ways between you, Megan, and your brother. Laura sat down hard. I don't have a brother. I meant equally between you and Megan. Old age, sorry. Eleanor cleared her throat. It's now split differently. 50% to you, 50% to a treatment fund for Megan. I don't understand. The fund is accessible only if Megan completes a year of intensive therapy. Not just any therapy, a program I've already selected that specializes in personality disorders and compulsive behavior. If she refuses, or if she doesn't complete it, that 50% reverts to you. Laura's mind reeled. Grandma, that's extremely controlling. Yes, it is. I learned from the best. Eleanor's voice held a dry humor. Your sister isn't the only Smith who knows how to manipulate people, Laura. I'm just better at it. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to understand something before you go through with your eviction proceedings. Eleanor paused. Megan is sick. Sick how? Mentally. I've suspected for years, but I finally got her to see my therapist last month. Told her it was executive presence coaching. She went once, just once, but it was enough for a preliminary assessment. Laura's throat tightened. What did the therapist say? Narcissistic personality disorder with borderline features, possibly antisocial traits. The therapist said Megan shows clear signs of delusional thinking, compulsive lying, and a complete inability to process long-term consequences. She needs serious help, Laura. Professional, intensive help. If she's sick... Laura's voice broke. If she's actually mentally ill, is it fair to do this? To evict Mom and Dad, to let her career implode? Is it fair not to? Eleanor's voice sharpened. If she's sick, then enabling her is abuse. It's letting her destroy herself while pretending we're helping. Sometimes the cruelest thing you can do is protect someone from their own consequences. But what if I'm making it worse? What if this pushes her over the edge? Then she'll finally fall far enough to ask for help. Laura, I'm 78 years old. I've made many mistakes, but the biggest was staying silent while your parents destroyed both of you. Megan by giving her everything. You by asking you for everything. Laura pressed her hand to her mouth, holding back a sob. Listen to me carefully, Eleanor continued. Mental illness explains behavior. It doesn't excuse it. Megan might not be able to help how her brain works, but she's made choices. She's chosen to lie, to steal, to manipulate. Those are still choices. How do you know she'll even go to therapy? How do you know she won't just reject the whole thing? I don't. That's her choice to make. But right now, she has no reason to change. She's never faced real consequences. The world keeps bending around her and your parents keep smoothing the way. Eleanor's voice softened. You're not doing this to her, sweetheart. You're doing this for her, and for yourself, and for your parents, even though they can't see it yet. What if they never forgive me? Then they never forgive you. But at least you'll know you tried to save them instead of drowning with them. Laura looked at the eviction papers on her desk. Already signed, already sealed, ready for delivery. The notice goes out Christmas Eve. Good. Grandma, why now? Why are you doing all of this now? A long silence. Then Eleanor said, very quietly, "Because I'm dying, Laura." The world tilted. What? Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. I was diagnosed 2 years ago. I have maybe 6 months left. Perhaps less. 2 years? You've known for 2 years and didn't tell us? If I'd told you, everything would have been about my death. Every change would have been because poor Eleanor was dying and we wanted to make her happy. I needed you all to change for yourselves, not for me. Laura was crying now openly. I can't. You can. You're the strongest person I know. That letter I gave you, I meant every word. I'm proud of you. And whatever happens next, remember, you're not the villain in this story. You're just the only one brave enough to stop pretending. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, my darling girl. Now go to bed. You have a long few weeks ahead of you. After they hung up, Laura sat in the darkness of her apartment, crying until she had nothing left. Then she opened her laptop and confirmed her flight to the Maldives. One way, departing December 24th at 11 o'clock p.m. She'd be in the air when the process server knocked on her parents' door. She'd be over the Pacific Ocean when her family's world imploded. And maybe, just maybe, by the time she landed, she'd know if she'd saved them or destroyed them. December 24th, 2024, 4:00 p.m. Laura's suitcase sat by the door. Her flight to the Maldives left at 11 p.m. She checked her phone. The family group chat was alive with photos. Karen, Megan's tiramisu looks amazing! The photo showed their dining room table set for 8, crystal glasses, white tablecloth, her mother's china. Megan, can't wait for everyone to arrive. David and Sheila should be here by 6. Laura left them on red. The process server would arrive at 6 o'clock p.m. sharp. She'd confirmed with Jennifer 3 times. She headed to the airport early. Better to wait there than torture herself at home. Dad. December 24th, 2024, 5:47 p.m. The doorbell rang early. They're here! Karen called from the kitchen, wiping her hands. Richard, can you get the door? Richard opened it with a smile, ready to greet Megan's boss. A stranger stood there, dark suit, leather portfolio. Richard Smith? Yes? You've been served. 3 envelopes. One for you, one for Karen Smith, one for current occupant. Richard took them automatically. I'm sorry. What? Legal notice of eviction proceedings. 21 days to respond. Have a good evening. The man left. Richard stared at the envelopes, hands shaking before he even opened one. Notice of unlawful detainer property owner, Laura Elizabeth Smith. Purchase property at $1,200,000 or pay $4,500 month rent, or vacate premises. Richard? Karen appeared, saw his face. What's wrong? He handed her an envelope. The words wouldn't come. Footsteps on the stairs. Megan in a slate gray dress. Who was at the door? Richard gave her the 3rd envelope. Megan ripped it open. Her face transformed, confusion to fury. What the fuck did Laura do? The contract, Richard said quietly, sitting down hard. 12 months to buy or pay rent. It's been 6 months. We don't have $1.2 million, Karen whispered. We don't have anything. Or for $15,900 a month, Richard added. I can help, Megan said quickly. I've been doing really well at work. Megan, Richard looked at her. Where did the money go? What money? The $520,000 Laura gave us. Where is it? The doorbell rang again. They all froze. That's them, Megan hissed. David and Sheila. We're not letting Laura ruin this. Richard wanted to argue. Instead, he folded the notice into his pocket and answered the door. 6:05 p.m. David Patterson was distinguished and silver-haired. His wife Sheila was expensively maintained and cold-smiled. Dinner was surreal. The turkey was perfect. Megan was animated. Karen felt like she was watching from underwater. "Megan's been invaluable to our team," David said over dessert. "There's a senior portfolio manager position opening in New York. I'm considering her for it." Megan's face lit up. "David, really?" The doorbell rang. Richard answered. Another process server. This one, a woman. "Mr. Smith? Supplementary documents. Time sensitive. 24 hours to respond." She handed him an envelope and left. Richard opened it with shaking hands. Bank statements, withdrawal records, page after page. He looked up at Megan. "You withdrew $45,000 from my 401k?" Silence crashed through the room. "Dad, I can explain. You told me it was for property taxes. There's a charge to Saks Fifth Avenue for $12,000 the next day." David Patterson was watching now, assessing. Richard kept reading. $340,000. You took $340,000 from us over 3 years. Karen grabbed the papers, saw the withdrawals, dozens of them. "Megan? I was going to pay it back. You forged my signature." Richard pointed to one document. "This withdrawal. I never signed this." David stood slowly. "Megan, the internal audit at Blackstone. The irregularities in client accounts. Is there anything you need to tell me?" "What? No, that has nothing—" "How many client accounts?" His voice was ice. "How much money?" "I don't— This is entrapment. $780,000 across 15 portfolios," David said. "That's what the preliminary audit found. But now I understand the pattern." He took out his phone. "Sheila, we're leaving. I need to call our legal department." "Wait!" Megan grabbed his arm. "Please, I can fix this." "You can't, and I'm calling the FBI." He removed her hand gently. "I'm sorry, Megan. This is unforgivable." They left. The door clicked shut. Karen slid down the wall to the floor, documents scattering. Megan was crying, loud, ugly sobs. "This is Laura's fault. She sent those papers to destroy me." "You ruined your own career," Richard said flatly. "You stole from us, from clients, from everyone. If you loved me, love isn't enough anymore." He sat beside Karen. "It never was." Karen looked up at Megan. "I don't know who you are. I thought I did, but I don't know you at all." Megan ran upstairs. Her door slammed. Richard and Karen sat on the floor of a house they didn't own, surrounded by evidence of their failures. 2 a.m. Neither could sleep. Richard went downstairs, started cleaning the ruined dinner. Karen joined him wordlessly. "We should call Laura," Karen said. "And say what? That she was right?" Footsteps. Megan appeared, makeup streaked. "I'm going to prison, aren't I?" Richard wanted to lie. Couldn't. "Probably, yes." "How long?" "Years. Federal securities fraud is serious." Megan put her head on the table. "I don't know how this happened." "That's addiction," Karen said softly. "I'm not an addict. There are other kinds." Karen sat across from her. "My mother was an alcoholic. I spent my childhood managing her chaos, making excuses. I made you the same way." "That's not fair." "It's the truth. I taught you that love means getting what you want. I taught Laura that love means giving up what she needs." Karen stood. "I'm calling Laura's lawyer in the morning. We're working out a payment plan. We're downsizing, starting over." "You're giving up? This is our home." "No," Richard said quietly. "It's Laura's house. We've been living on borrowed time." December 25th, 2024. Maldives. Laura sat in paradise, feeling nothing. 89 notifications. She'd looked. "Megan, you win." She didn't feel like she'd won. She opened her journal. "I thought I'd feel relieved. Instead, I feel like an orphan. I have parents but no family, and I chose that. Megan's facing prison. Mom and Dad are losing their house. Yes, they enabled her. Yes, they failed me. But they're still my parents. If I hadn't done this, Megan would have kept stealing. They'd have kept enabling. This way, there's a chance they'll wake up, but chances aren't guarantees. I might have burned it all down for nothing." Her phone rang. "Eleanor. How's the Indian Ocean?" Gorgeous and useless. I can't enjoy it. Good. If you were enjoying yourself, I'd worry you were a sociopath. They hate me now. They're in shock. There's a difference. What if they never forgive me? Then they don't. But at least you stopped sacrificing yourself for people who weren't willing to do the same. Laura watched the sunset. Objectively beautiful. She felt nothing. After they hung up, Laura let herself cry. Not for what she'd lost, for what she'd never actually had.